Hello, I'm Mary Louise Van Natta, and I'm proud to be the Executive Director of the Salem Fire Foundation. I'm here again with our Salem Fire Department Chief, Mike Niblock. Chief, we spoke a little bit earlier about the importance of citizen involvement in helping if someone happens to see someone that has a possible cardiac arrest, and the importance of the program called Pulse Point that the Salem Fire Department has made available to us in our community. Can you recap a little bit about what Pulse Point is and the Pulse Point app?
Absolutely. Pulse Point is a smartphone application that allows a user, it's a free download, so it allows a user to be notified within a quarter of a mile from their location if there's someone who's experiencing a cardiac arrest and needs CPR. And so it's very similar to Amber Alert. It automatically goes off on your phone. It maps you into where that person is at. And of course it also shows you where the AEDs are in that vicinity.
Okay, and really important, and we talked about how folks can get trained in hands-only CPR and Aed use through the fire department, and all of that's available on the City of Salem website.
That's correct.
And the Salem Fire Foundation is working to get AEDs placed all around the community.
Yes.
So if they're needed, they can be found, and they're found through the Pulse Point app.
That's correct. Like we mentioned before, if you have a cardiac arrest, your chances of survival triple if someone begins CPR within the minute, and if you need a shock, if you receive that shock within the first couple of minutes. So it's really critical that if you're close by and your phone goes off and you're available to go help, that you do that, and it makes that patient much more viable for us when the emergency responders and the paramedics arrive to be able to treat that patient.
Well, and I know that you mentioned that we've had 2 saves recently in the community by someone being alerted and either racing across the street or grabbing the closest AED that they have in the building and taking it over there and making sure that people get saved.
We did have 2 saves. We had actually an off-duty fireman had the app. He was on his day off, and he was across the street from Motel 6, and his phone went off, and he hadn't heard that sound before, and he looked down and it said CPR is needed, and he realized it was right across the street, so he got in his car and drove across the street to the motel. There he found a person in cardiac arrest and 2 people who really didn't know what they were doing, and so he jumped right in and started doing CPR. At that point, 911 had already been called, and he did CPR for a full 2 minutes. Before the crews got there, they were able to resuscitate that person and save her. So it does work, but we really need a lot more people to have it on their phones.
Sure. So one thing I've started to do now since I've been more engaged with the Salem Fire Foundation is just like when you go into a hotel, you look for the exits. Now I look to see where is the closest AED and does this place have one? And if I happen to see someone who looked like they might need that kind of service, would I know where it was and how fast could I get a hold of it? Now let's dial back in the days before Pulse Point. And how did the city and 911, when you called, be able to say, go get the closest AED, which is located?
Right. That was a challenge for us. We did not have a reliable registry for those AEDs, and we were really reliant on businesses to tell us, hey, we put one in.
Oh, sure.
We took some actions to try to make that a little more proactive and tried to build a registry. But really, our registry was not what it should be until we got Pulse Point AED.
Okay, and so that's a second app.
That's a second app.
Okay.
The sister app to Pulse Point is Pulse Point AED, and this really is a crowdsourcing app that allows people. It's like a treasure hunt. If you're in a public building
it's like geocache.
That's right. You see an AED, and you pull out your phone and you pull out AED Pulse Point, and you look and you see, hey, that one's not on their registry. You can take a picture of it with your phone and you can Facebook it or Twitter it to our account. It comes right to our IT person, and they verify that that's truly a public access AED, and then it's inserted into our registry. So next time there's an event, that one shows up on the registry.
Oh, fantastic. Well, our friends at Pulse Point have put together a really great short video that explains how that works. So let's watch that real quick.
Perfect.
AEDs. You may pass by one every day and not even notice. But these little guys save lives. The problem is, when you need one, you don't know where to find one. What if we could arrange a meet and greet with our AEDs, allowing our community to get to know where they hang out and what they look like? Introducing PulsePoint AED, the app that asks you and everyone around you to report and update AED locations. It's simple. When you find one, enter a description and snap a photo. That's it. The information is vetted and centrally available so that nearby citizens and emergency dispatchers can locate one when a cardiac emergency occurs. With AED locations mapped and the PulsePoint Respond app in hand, Donna is alerted. Using the map, description, and a contextual photo, she finds her trusty assistant. Within moments, she's at the victim's side, ready to provide essential early care until help arrives. Using an AED can save a life, but that takes knowing where AEDs are located. Help build the most comprehensive registry of AEDs for use during emergencies and help save lives. Download the PulsePoint AED app and the companion PulsePoint Respond app today.
Okay, I get it. It's kind of like any of those apps where you can put in, like the travel app, where you put in where the accidents are, what's left on the road. But when you see an AED, and I know that the Salem Fire Foundation, when we go out and teach the kids, the 8th graders CPR, they seem to like that the best.
They download the app.
Download the app, and they're out there every time they see one and drop it in there.
Yes.
And so how many AEDs do you think we have in our community now?
We have about 375 registered in our registry right now.
Okay.
That are active in the registry, so they show up in the PulsePoint app. We know there are more AEDs out there.
Probably.
And so we hope that people seeing this video, if they have the app on their phone and they see an AED that's not in the registry, that they'll take a quick picture of it and Twitter it or Facebook to the account that's there, and then we can be aware of that.
Okay.
And the reason that's so important is we've had some incidents where PulsePoint activation has happened and it wasn't in our registry, and it's telling people the next closest AED when there truly is one right there in that business.
Sure.
Fortunately, in those cases that we've had, the people there knew the AED was there, and they were already using it, and those were good outcomes. But you could see where that would be confusing if it was directing you somewhere else to get one, and you were moving away from the person that needed the CPR. So we really want to have that be as accurate as we can. And as all the ones that we add, we're obviously putting those in the registry. But it's the businesses that may buy one on their own. For insurance reasons or for their employees' well-being or whatever, or for public access that it's not in our registry, we don't know about it. We can't tell other people about it.
Sure, and I understand there are certain buildings that are required to have AEDs.
Right.
And so if you are not so if the people aren't sure if their building's required, they should check with the fire department. I'm
Yes,
assuming
we can answer those
them.
questions.
Okay, and I think that even if you're not required, really, if you have public traffic, especially vulnerable public, having an AED in your facility, or as close as possible, get with your your colleagues in your complex, and
it's vulnerable is important, but sudden cardiac arrest can happen to anybody.
That's true.
And we look at this as nothing different than having a fire extinguisher or a first aid kit. And the foundation is working hard to get as many of these in the community as we can. And if businesses have the financial ability to buy these, they should buy them.
Yeah.
Really, every business that we've talked to that's had an incident where somebody has been saved. We had a bank that saved one of their customers. That's the ultimate customer service right there. They're a bank, and they'll save your life too by defibrillating you. So
and it's a guaranteed. If you need a shockable rhythm, that's a guaranteed life-saving activity.
That's right.
So some people I know aren't also tech savvy, and sometimes those things are difficult. Is it difficult to download?
Nope, it's like any other app in the App Store. You can go search for PulsePoint AED.
Okay, and that's the yellow one, right?
That's the yellow one, yes. The yellow one. PulsePoint is the red one. They're usually right next to each other. When you search for PulsePoint, you'll see them both. If you download them both, they're two separate icons, so they are two separate apps. There is some bleed over between the apps, so if you're in the PulsePoint app, which is the red one, the main one, it will still show you where the AEDs are in that
Okay, good.
location.
Good.
If you want to just search the AEDs over a certain geographic area, like the quarter mile that you're in,
Right.
you use Pulse Point AED, and it will
Okay.
it'll show you every one of them.
Good.
And you
Like
can,
if you're going somewhere and you want
that's
to just
right.
make sure that you know
well,
where
if you
they
walk
are.
by one and you say,
Yeah.
"Oh, I wonder if this is in the registry," and it doesn't show up, snap a quick picture of it
Got
and
it.
send it to us.
Got it. And well, I know our folks at Pulse Point have also just given us a quick tutorial. I think that it's really well done, and so let's watch that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Using PulsePoint AED to properly add an AED to the community registry is a simple and rewarding process. Let's get started. From the initial map view, tap the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. If you're not already logged in, you'll be prompted. Begin to type the name of the business or location of the AED. As you type, we will attempt to predict your entry. If the proper name appears, select it from the list. Using this method is preferred as it provides us with additional information about the location, such as business hours, which we can then use to inform responders about device availability. Next, we'll enter a description of the AED placement within the location. Create a description that would be useful to most people. Avoid cardinal directions like east wall or west lobby, and don't use terms that are too general, like on the wall. Also avoid names that are only familiar to employees, like Bob's office. It's best to use terms that are well understood and won't change, such as elevator lobby or employee break room. The next step is to add a photo. Don't take a close-up of the AED. Take a step or two back and show the AED in the context of its surroundings. The goal is to make the AED easier to find. So show it mounted between the restroom doors, next to the drinking fountain, or in this case, just left of the large electrical panel. These landmarks can help a rescuer locate the AED faster. Now tap Next to place the AED on the map. Pan and zoom the map to precisely position the AED, and then tap Submit. It's as simple as that. Thanks for helping to build the most comprehensive registry of AEDs for use during emergencies.
Good. I think I can do that. I kind of already have that on my. I've actually enjoyed going around the town, and I like to see how many I can get and drag the pin over.
Right.
So if citizens have both Pulse Point and Pulse Point AED, and really take it seriously, they could be very well equipped to save a life.
Absolutely.
Okay, well,
Absolutely.
and I know if you should probably be able to recognize an AED. Oftentimes they're on the wall with a case, but you have with you a portable AED
Right.
that you can actually purchase these and keep these in your car. Is that right?
That's right.
Or
That's right.
in your home. Some
Yep.
people who are vulnerable like to have those close.
Yeah.
Why don't we just show those real quick and see? This is our demo AED, and as I remember, it just talks you right through.
It walks you right through it. You push the green button to turn it on, and the set of instructions will begin.
Okay.
And there's pictures. If you need a picture to reference where the pads go, it's very easy.
Okay.
We're teaching this to 8th graders, and they're getting it. So it's very user friendly. You can't mess up. You can't hurt somebody with
Can't
this.
shock somebody if
You
they don't need
can't-
a shock.
You can't
so-
shock somebody if they don't need a shock. The computer analyzes the rhythm and only shocks a shockable rhythm. And there are some rhythms that aren't shockable. So, in that case, you just continue doing CPR until the paramedics get there, or as
Super.
long as you can.
So if people have taken the time to, if we get the whole community taking pictures of AEDs they see, and maybe we catch some that aren't in the system, we'll be able to provide more resources for 911
Absolutely.
if somebody calls. So Chief, thank you so much.
Thank
This
you.
is
My
great.
pleasure.
I'm really excited about being able to share this news with the citizens. And if people want to learn more, how can they get in touch with the fire department?
So cityofsalem.net
Okay.
is the website, and you can go down to the fire department link there, and there's a link for CPR classes.
Wonderful.
They can call the main line at the fire department if they have other questions about
Wonderful.
fire safety anytime. We're happy to answer those questions. We have a prevention bureau that can come out and help with things if they have those kind of needs as well.
Super. And I know to contact the Salem Fire Foundation and either get your own AED, apply for a grant, or learn how to get training. You can do that at salemfirefoundation.org. Chief, thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Okay, everyone, have a great day.